Hello and welcome everyone. What you see here is a new project I'm working on, which is a 3 breakthrough board map side by side, and it's Operation Bagration or Bagration, whatever it's called. First phase. So you can actually this is the city of Minsk over here in the back. So that was basically the first phase to capture that. I believe initially it was even, that the Soviets would have been happy to pull that off, but in the end it turned out to be incredibly successful. And if I'm not mistaken, the German casualties and losses and captured troops far exceeded those of Stalingrad, perhaps like twice as many or something. I believe like about half a million. Basically, the entire Army Group Center was destroyed. So a couple of things I want to point out to you here. We have some supply trains here for the Germans, which is how in this particular scenario they're supposed to bring up reinforcements. You can see one tank and one infantry. They're supposed to be one entire unit, but that didn't really fit, so I did it like that. And we have Russian partisans as well, which function exactly the same way as French resistance troops. So to really distinguish them from the other Russian troops, I thought I'd just use those French resistance troop badges as well. They might even be for special French forces. Anyway, in this scenario, they're Russian partisans. What they can do is, for instance, they can blow up railroads, which obviously will cut the railroad, and the Germans can actually repair it again, but that will take them in action, and they will have to, they will have to really guard the railroads, and they probably can't do so anywhere, everywhere. Here we have some German special forces, half-tracks, which can resupply the troops. You can see a very extensive minefield, which is what the Germans relied on heavily, because in most places the defense was rather thin. We have some self-propelled artillery. These are some Katyusha figures from historicalboardgaming.com. Here we have some IS units, Joseph Stalin tanks. They function exactly the same way as Tiger tanks. We have quite a few engineer units. These tank units are have the ability to remove mines, and the Russians heavily used minesweeping tanks in this offensive, so that they would be able to push through the German minefields. We have a couple of bridges that can be used and also blown up by the Germans themselves as well to slow the Soviets down. So the Soviets won't actually want to do it probably, but the Germans can blow up their own bridges should they want to. What else have we got? We have some trenches with some anti-tank specializations. That doesn't mean, obviously, that the scale of this battlefield is so huge. It doesn't mean a single or a couple of anti-tank units. It just means anti-tank defenses. So what else have we got? There are quite a few special rules going on here. As I mentioned, blowing up bridges, the partisans and what they can do, the minesweeping tanks. Other than that, it functions mostly like D-Day. You roll for reinforcements and everything. It's still the first draft, so I may actually change a couple of things. The trains and everything. I'm not sure if it's actually going to work, but for the Germans, I want them to bring up reinforcements that way, so you can actually place them. The trains can also drop off the units that are carrying at any friendly controlled city hex or adjacent to it. That's fine as well. Those are a couple of things that are going on. Obviously, I ran out of actual summer railroads and summer rivers, and because of that I decided to use the winter variant, because combined I had enough of them. But this really stretches my collection, I have to admit. The same is true for for the jungle hexes and the palm forest, they're simply meant to be regular woods hexes. But I didn't have enough of them. I know that some people actually managed to print out those boards and everything, and they can actually use the original terrain or the intended terrain. So that would be great if I could get my hands on one of those as well. I'm, not very good with that kind of stuff, but maybe somebody else will get around to it. Yeah, so I'm going to start playtesting now. The Germans have a hand of 5 breakthrough cards for each deck, and the Russians have 6, although the Germans start with 3, and the first couple of turns they draw 2 cards until they reach 5, and that's it. The Russians also have extra options for artillery, bombard, or air attacks, and that is probably what they want to do in the rear as well. Historically, what the Russians did is they kind of swept around the German defenses here in the north around Vitebsk. Vitebsk is here. I used fortress hexes there. They were declared Festungen by Hitler, and I think they get to ignore all flags, and I think I will actually make them ignore all flags. So yeah, that's definitely a thing to consider. I think I will put another bridge here, by the way. It would be a bit too much not to be able to retreat. And the Germans can also score victory points as well as the Russians by exiting from the German baseline. The Germans will not be allowed to retreat right away, because obviously otherwise they could just retreat those units. Well, I mean, I could actually potentially allow them to do that. That way they won't have any troops to stop the Russians with. So I'm still toying around with that a little bit. Again, this is just the first draft, and yeah, things may have to change, but this is kind of the basic idea. Yeah, I might even try that, like I had some kind of special rule in mind that for the first 8 full turns or so that means a German turn and a Soviet turn, Soviets actually start, so Soviet turn and a German turn, after 8 full turns, the Germans would be allowed to retreat. So yeah, but I mean, maybe that's not even necessary. If they want to retreat those units right off the bat, well, go ahead. But I don't think it's a very sound decision for them to make. That depends on the victory conditions. You score, as I said, victory points for retreating both Soviet and German units off the German baseline, and for obviously destroying enemy units and controlling city hexes. So that's about a rough sketch of what I'm working on here. I hope you're intrigued. Let's see how it plays out, and thank you for watching, and see you on the next one. Bye.